So I'm starting recording as well. Yeah. Muzaffar, last day we had a discussion about so very important topic which was inheritance. So we have seen what was the advantage of inheritance, and after that we have seen the we have seen the different types of inheritance. Okay, a single inheritance, multi-level inheritance, a multiple inheritance, hybrid inheritance, and we had a kind of like we have given a kind of explanation for all the types of inheritance. So that was our previous session, and now I want to start the new concept, which is the extension method. Okay, so extension method. So the use of extension method, I will give kind of example so that you can easily understand. So basically, let me take this example. Okay, so sorry, take this one. Yeah. So I will give an example, then I will explain the concept, Muzaffar. So let's see what I want to do here. So basically, last time we have written one, if you remember, while explaining the concept of recursion, I gave an example to find out the factorial of a number. Okay,
Yes.
so a method call itself or a function call itself is called as recursion. So that's where we have seen one example to calculate the factorial of a number. Now, same thing, I want to get the factorial of a number with the extension method. So let's see how we can work with. So basically, this is the factorial method which I have written. And here we are passing the integer value for this factorial method. And as we already seen, if x is less than or equal to 0, we are just returning the value as a 1. And if x is equal to 2, we are just returning the value as a 2. Or else we are just calculating the factorial by using this recursive function. So this method, we are calling it again, right? A
Yes.
method call inside the same method is called as recursion. So this is how we can work it. So now to call this method, I can call I can previously what we did is if I have a if I want to find out the factorial of a method, so how we will do? So basically, we will remove this one. So basically, function will be like this.
Yes.
Function will be like this. Okay, and how we can call a function? So what we need to do? It's a starting function, right? So we can
Yes.
directly call with the method name itself. So our class name is my my
My
my math extension method dot factorial. Okay, now if I pass the 10, it will return the factorial of a 10 member. This is how we can directly work with a method here. Okay, but here I want to explain the concept of a extension method. It's not a normal method, extension method. Okay, so now we want to explain the concept which is called a extension method. It's not a normal method. I'm saying that it's a extension method. Now see what is the difference between the normal method and the extension method. So this is a
so
normal method. So where we can declare one method with the return type and the name of the method and the number of parameter and opening and closing braces, and in between whatever the code we want to write, we can write it, right? Okay.
Yes.
So and we just declare it as a static method. Okay. And similarly, uh, how extension method will work is the only difference here is here in the parameter, while passing the parameter, we are using this keyword. We are
Okay.
using this keyword. If I use this keyword, if I declare any variable with this particular type, integer x, okay, integer type of variable, if I declare with this x dot, I can able to call my method directly. X dot, I can able to call my directly. See, if I place dot, I can able to see the factorial method, right?
Yes.
So basically, if you see, let me write one more example. So I am this string here. Okay, string yes. Okay, it's a just something like ABC. It's something like ABC here. So yes dot, sorry, yes dot. Am I able to see the factorial method for this? F.
No.
If there is an F, it should be display here only, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think Raj also joined. Let's start the the explanation of a extension method. So Raj, today we just start with the method type, which is called as extension method. So basically, we know how to declare a method. So in order to declare a method, we need access modifier and return type and the fact and the name of the particular method and the input parameters. Like whatever the parameters we want to pass, we can pass it. And in between opening and closing parameters, whatever the logic we want to write, we can write it. So that's the normal method declaration. Now we are talking about extension method. So if I have a normal method, how we can work with the normal method? So we will, as it is a static class and the static method, we can call this factorial method by the class name itself by writing my math extension dot factorial, and by passing the value, we can able to find out the factorial of a given number. So that's how normal method will work. Now we are talking about extension method. So the difference between the normal method and the extension method is extension method always need to be a static method. Normal method may or may not have a static method. Extension method always need to be a static method, and the input parameter whatever it is accepting, that this need to be use one keyword which is called as this. So this is the fundamental rule of a extension method. So how we can say by seeing itself, by seeing a method itself, how we can say that's a extension method here is that need to have a static method, and the input parameter which it is accepting, that need to have this keyword. Then we can simply say that that is a static method. So the intention of creating the static method here is so by declaring the variable itself integer x equal to 3, that x value itself I can able to call my extension method. So see the other example what I am going to see is if you see here, if I place the s dot, here we are able to see all the kind of methods, clone, compare to, contain, count, sorry, this copy to, that all methods we are able to see here. Trim method, true upper, true lower, that all kind of methods we can able to see. So these all methods are called as the extension methods. So if we want to create our own extension method, we need to write the code like this. Okay. So if we see for general string method, if we place the s dot, we will able to see the number of extension methods like this. Clone, compared to, like this, we can able to see all the extension methods here. Similarly, if I want to create one extension method for the integer data type, or if I want to create one extension method string data type, or if we want to create one extension method of float data type, we can create ourselves. So how we can create our extension method in C# program is, whatever the method you want to make it as an extension method, that need to have a static method, that need to have a static keyword, and the input parameters need to have this keyword. Then you can call that method as a static method. So once I declare a static method in the type of integer, whatever integer variable I declare, I can call with this extension method. For example, see, I am going to declare one more integer variable, z equal to 10. Z equal to 10. If I place the z, still I can able to see the factorial method, right? Okay. So that means we create one static, we create one extension method with the name factorial. Okay, we create one extension method with the name factorial, and it is type of integer. So whatever the variable I am gonna declare as an integer, for all that integer variable, this factorial method can be available. That factorial method can be available. That is the purpose of a extension method. So let me repeat again. So how we can work with a method? To declare a method, we need an access modifier, return type, and the name of the method, and the number of parameter, and the opening and closing braces. In between, we can write whatever the code we want to write. That's a method definition or signature. Okay. Now, what is the extension method? So extension method is nothing but a method which is a static method, and its input parameters having this keyword. Then we can call that method as a extension method. The purpose of the extension method is we can declare our own extension method in C# program for any data types. Okay, if I want to declare one extension method for the integer variable, what I need to do is I need to use like this integer x. Now it will be work as an extension method for integer. So if I want to create one extension method for this string, you can create it. Then you need to write this dot string some variable name, you can declare it. Okay. So if I declare one specific type of extension method, that type we can use for any particular data type values. See, we have declared extension method in the type of integer. Whatever the variable we declare in the type of integer can all have the ability to access this factorial method. Okay, so that is the intention of a extension method. So basically, by default, for each data type like a string or some other data types having their own extension methods. So if those extension methods are not suitable or not satisfying our needs, we need to create our own extension method. So in order to do that one, there is a way to perform such kind of task. So that is called as extension method. So, Muzaffar, did you understand? Raj and Muzaffar.
Just one minute.
So, Raj, are you there?
Yeah, I am there.
Yeah. So, Raj, basically, the use of a extension method is to perform the to provide the ability to simply work with the variables of a particular data type. So if I have a integer data type, for that I want to create some kind of extension method to easy of my work. Then what we can do is we can create one extension method and we can call that directly instead of creating the object and class name. We can directly call it. So here what we did, we declare one integer variable and we declare one extension method such type of integer, and whenever I need I can directly call this x dot factorial, and even for z also I can call z dot factorial. Then
But we don't.
automatic.
But we are not writing z dot x factorial, so that is not.
What is it?
Like x dot factorial we have written in console dot write line. So for
Mm.
z also we need to write.
Yeah, for the z
uh,
also we need to. Now how it will work is x dot factorial. What is the x value?
X value is 3.
3. Now that factorial will calculate for the 3. And if I call the
Okay.
z dot factorial, so z value is 10. Now factorial will calculate for the 10. So
Okay.
like that it will work. See, similarly, there are already having the extension method for string. For example, if I have a string, if I want to get the replace or remove or some kind of upper lower kind of extension methods, I can call it. If I pass the ABC, then that string will automatically convert into the lower case if I call the lower method. Okay. If I pass the string a particular word like PQR, then it will automatically convert like this. Whatever the variables value you pass, accordingly the output will come. Okay. Similarly, if we want to create our own extension method, there is a possibility in C#.NET. So how we can do it? That method need to be a static method, and the parameter need to have this keyword. Then only we can call that as a static method. Sorry, that extension method. Here x dot factorial, now 3 dot factorial will automatically calculate. And if I call z dot factorial, 10 factorial will automatically calculate. So that is the purpose of a extension method.
Okay.
Okay. Basically, this extension method will provide the easy of a usage of a particular method. So basically, if it is a normal method, what you need to do? You need to create one object to call that method if it is a normal method, or if it is a static method, you can you need to call that particular method with the help of a class name. So then only it will work for you. But if it is a extension method with the variable name itself, I can able to call. Okay, that is the use of a extension method. Okay, so let's write one simple extension method so that you can able to understand. Yeah, so let's write one simple extension method, which is called as what we can say, extension method. Okay, so let's write one extension method. If you give any number, automatically you need to that extension method need to add 100 for that variable. It's not a good example. Let's come up with a nice example here. Yeah. So right, what we can say, yeah, square. Yeah, let's write one extension method, which is a square. So if you call that particular integer variable with the 2 as a value, then it need to be written as 4. Okay, and if I call that integer value with the number of 3, it need to return the square as 9. Okay, so in such a way we need to write one extension method. So can you guys help me to write such kind of extension method here? Okay, so we need to write one extension method. The purpose of that extension method is if you call that particular extension method, it need to return the it need to return the square of that particular number. So how we can write that? So can anyone help me to write that particular code here? So
Public
basically, yeah, so public static,
static
sorry, static
void means
void,
then in
method
the
name is
parameter
square,
uh,
method name is
square square square
square. Mm-hmm.
and parenthesis
Okay,
this,
this
and in this one what
integer particular data type,
in,
for which data type we want to provide, that we need to be written here.
in
Integer
this in
a comma b, whatever the variable,
a
we
comma
can
b
return it. Okay,
in this
so
one.
then what we need to do, basically something wrong with your method declaration. Basically it need to return the value. So
Yes,
to return the value, what data type we need? Particular data type we need to use instead of void, right? Void means
yes,
we are not returning anything.
Extension.
So what we can do is integer we can declare here. Then what I can do is return to URL return whatever the value we are getting, a into a, means it's a square, right?
yes.
A
Yeah.
into a means a square only.
A square, yeah,
Yes.
a square.
So if you get the 2,
4.
yeah,
2
2
into
into
2
2, it become 4. If I pass the
4.
4 into 4, it become the 60.
Yeah.
Okay. Now how we can call this extension method? How we can call this extension method?
Now in the
We we
bottom,
we declared the extension method with the type of integer.
yes,
Okay. So we need to declare one integer. Okay. So
integer
it might be integer
the
integer p. Okay. Equal to 2. Okay.
to
Now what I can do, that
p
how
dot
we can call is p dot
factorial
p dot square. Now the
square
method which declare square, right?
square, yes,
Square. That's it. Now automatically that will return the square of a method. Okay. Let's see how it will work. So we got 4 right here.
yes.
So that's how we
In,
can
in
write it. Okay. So even if I declare one more type, which is a instead of p, I can still use that for q as well, which is a 5. Okay, 5 5 is 25, it will give. And if I want to call, what I need to do, q
yeah,
q dot a particular extension method. Okay,
yeah.
so this is how we can write it. Okay.
The purpose of this extension method is we are calling a starting method without creating an object.
No, it's not like this. It's provide the easy way to work with the data type values. It's provide
Okay, it
the
provide easy way to
easy
call.
way to work with the data type values. For example, I have an
Okay.
integer value. Okay, I want to calculate the square. Basically, if I write the same with the normal method, how it will be work? Let's see that also. So how it will be working? So it doesn't have the static keyword. It may or may not. I can't say it doesn't have the static keyword. Normal methods also having the static keyword, right? We already seen
Yeah.
many examples with the static keyword. Okay, so let's see, it doesn't have static keyword. Okay, and it doesn't have this one. Now how you can call the square method? So in order to call the square method, you need to create the object for my math extension with m equal to new my math extension. Okay, now with this m you can call this square method.
Square method.
This is how. Now how many steps we use? Two, right? Two
Yeah.
steps we have used. Now again what I need to do is I need to pass the value for this. Okay, if I
Yes.
pass it to, it will return the value. Okay, so like that
Yeah.
it will
Then
work here. Okay, to
okay.
avoid this kind of situation, so what we can do is we can write one simple extension method for the type of integer. Okay, and we can call that extension method whenever we need. Okay, so
Yeah.
basically we need a scenario for that. For example, this kind of scenario I have in my programming. I want to create one square of a method. If that particular scenario happen, instead of creating with the normal method, I can go with the extension method, which will be applicable for any data, any kind of data type value, particular data type value. It means if I declare my extension method, which is type of integer, for all integer variables, I can able to directly see that extension method. Okay, so that's how we can work with the extension method. So do you guys having any questions or it's clear for you?
Yeah. No, it's clear now.
Okay. So that is the use of a extension method. Let's see the another topic here. Okay. Indexes. It's might not that much of useful, but let's see. Extension method is useful in our programming. Try to practice that with an examples. So that is thing. And another topic what we have in C# is indexes. Okay. So basically, before going to this indexing, we know the concept of array. Okay. Array is nothing but it's a collection of homogeneous values stored under a single name. So that's what the definition we learned in our array topic. Okay, array is nothing but a collection of homogeneous data type stored under a single name. Means if I want to declare a list of student IDs, which is type of integer, I can declare one array, which is the integer array, where I can store all my student IDs, right? So that's how we work with the arrays. Okay. So in C# we have one more concept which is called as indexes, which help us to work with the object in the manner of an array. So to work with the class objects in the similar manner of an array, we need to use this indexers. So let me repeat again. So we have seen the concept of arrays where if I want to declare similar data type values under a single name, we use the concept of an array. Okay, now we have one more concept in C#.NET, which is the indexes. The purpose of the indexers in C# is it will work the object in the similar manner of an array. It will work the objects in the similar manner of an array. Okay, so let's see how we can work. Here, say we have the one class which is called as a parent class. Okay, that we are creating object like we create one object. Parent class obj equal to new parent class, like that we have create one object. So for each object, now what we are doing is we are assigning values here. So object of index 0, we are assigning 1. Object of index 1, we are assigning 2. Object of 2, 3. Object of 3, 4. Object of 4, 5. Like that we are assigning the values here. Okay. So how basically if it is an array, then only we can create the then only we can assign the indexes for that variables. But what we are doing is it's an object here. For this object, if you want to work in the fashion of an array, what you need to do is you need to declare one getter and set methods with this type of index. Okay, so basically how we can declare a get and set method. So public and the variable name and particular data type, sorry, that name of the value, name of the particular member variable, and get method and set method. Okay, but here what we are doing is again we are using one special keyword which is called as this keyword, and we are treating this as an array here, integer array. Okay, that's how we can able to pass the values here. Okay, so that is the importance of an indexer in the C#.NET. So basically we can directly work with the any data type values using the arrays. So means we can able to store any data type values in the form of an array, so that we can retrieve with the indexes like this. But if I want to work with an object in the similar fashion of an array, we need to declare, we need to work with the indexes concept. How we can work with the indexes concept here is while declaring the particular get and set methods, if you use this keyboard along this opening and closing angular brackets, then it will behave like an array here. This kind of array, we are calling it as indexers. This type of array creation, we are calling in the C# as the indexers. Okay. So did you understand, or shall I need to repeat again? So
Yeah.
basically, what I'm trying to explain here is we have already seen one concept which is called an array. So how we can declare an array? Basically like this we can declare an array. Integer array, okay, of student IDs equal to new integer of 10. Okay, if I declare an array like this, then I can assign the any integer value for my SID array. SID of 0 equal to 1. SID of 1 equal to 2. SID of 2 equal to 3. Like that we can work with the array of integer type. Now the
Yes.
intention is I have an object. Okay. For this object, I want to work as a array concept. Normally, it doesn't directly work as an array if it is an object, right? If you want to work with the array, you need to declare the array, and you can work like this. but this is an object. It's not a simple variable here. It is an object of a parent class here. Okay. For this object, if I want to work in the manner of an array, our indexer concept will work us here, will help us. Okay, how it will help us here is if while declaring that particular variable, if you use this string of an array, and if I pass the value with this keyword in the array format, then our object also will work as a array. That concept we are calling it as indexes. That concept we are calling it as indexes. Okay, so what we can say, the definition of an indexer is if I want to work with the object in the fashion of an array, then indexers are the useful one in CSharp.NET. Indexers are useful one in CSharp.NET. That's the definition of an array. Okay, how indexers we can create? Indexer is nothing but a get and set parameter with array type. Indexer is a, see what is the indexer? This is a just a get and set method, but it is a type of an array, which is nothing but
Okay.
indexer we are calling. We are calling that as the indexer. Okay, or we can define the indexer like this. If I have a get and set method with the array type, then we can call that as an indexer. Okay, or if I want to work with the object in the fashion of an array, then indexer will help us to achieve that. So that is the concept of an indexes. Okay,
Yeah.
so basically if we want to declare an array, so we know how to work with the array. But if I have an object, if I want to work with the object in the fashion of an array, then this indexers will help us. Indexer is nothing but a get and set methods with the array type. So that concept we are calling it as indexers. Okay, so that is the concept of an indexes. So do you have any questions, Muzaffar or Raj?
No,
Sir,
no.
Sorry, man. So this is the concept of an indexes. Let's move to the another one. So generic method. Generic method. This is also very important concept. Just try to understand the concept clearly. Generic methods. Let's see how we can work with the generic method. Okay, how we can work with the generic method here. Okay, so let's take an simple example. So basically, I'm just writing one simple example to calculate the addition of two numbers. So how we can calculate the addition of a given two numbers? So we can declare a method here. Okay, that method name is add method, and we are passing two parameters for it. And whenever you call those parameters, and we can write the output saying that sum of two integer numbers is that a plus b. Okay, and another method I created here is the same add method we are creating, but here we are passing the double type of parameter. Okay, and if I call the my add method with the double type of parameter, then what will happen? That result of a sum of those two double parameter will display here. Okay, so let me repeat again. I have created I want to achieve the addition of a two parameters. First I will pass the add parameter, sorry, integer parameter, and next method is specifically designed for double parameter. Okay, So add method with integer parameter, add method with double parameters. So in C Sharp we can call this concept with one name. So Muzaffar, I already explained this with you. So what is this concept? Basically, what concept we can call it as a method with the same name and different method parameters. So what we can call it? A
It's
method.
multiple inheritance.
Collections.
No, no, both are wrong. A method with the same name and different parameters within the same class is called as. Muzaffar, you was there in that class. Ras was absent in that particular session.
A method with a this is concept of method overloading.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the concept what we can call it as method overloading.
Method overloading.
Okay. So what is the method overloading here is a method with the same name but different parameters, different type of
Within the same.
parameter or a different number of parameter within the same class. So that is called as a method overloading here. So we are creating one overload method with the name add, which will take two parameters as integer for the first method and two parameters for the float data types. Okay. And if I need to work with this some other data type like integer, we have a long data type or some other decimal data type. If I want to create the such kind of method, what I need to do, I need to create one more addition method here which will take which will take decimal parameters, something like this. Okay, I can create like this. Instead of creating the different data types, different methods to work with the particular data type values, in C# we have one more concept which is called as a generic method. In C# we have one more method which is called as generic method. Let's see how we can work with that. So that's a simple thing. Instead of writing such kind of thing, one way what we can write is this one. One way we can write, instead of writing two methods, let's comment these two methods. We can write one simple method like this: add object object. Means it will take integer values, it will take float values, right? Object means it will take any data type value. If I declare one method with the object data type, it will take any data type. It will take any data type. If you pass the 10, 20, those are the integer parameter, and it will automatically convert those integer parameter to the object parameter to the integer parameter, and it will sum it up here. Okay, and if I pass the 10.10, it will automatically convert this object into the float data type, and it will apply the summation here. Like this we can do it. So instead of creating the overload method, we can simply do like this. Okay, but the problem with this approach is we already explained. So in worst case, we need to use the object in the worst case only. Okay, means I already explained you, if I use the object data type, there will be a burden for the compiler to perform the one more extra work to convert that particular data type into the relevant data type. So if I pass the 10, 20, that 10 need to come here, and basically it will identify this 10 belongs to short data type or integer data type that compiler need to identify, and again it need to allocate the memory for the integer or short data type. Okay, that conversion need to happen in the background process of a compiler. Okay, so this is not a right way to work with this example here. Okay, so here in C#.NET we have one concept which is called as Gendrich Method. Let's comment this one as well. This is the first method which we tried. Method 1, third one, method 2, and let's see with method 3. Method 3, which we can call Genric method. Genric method, which we can call Genric method. Okay, so while declaring a Genric method, we are saying that T add angular less than symbol and the T and the greater than symbol. That means so that whatever the data type we define here, that data type we need to define here and here with the respective parameter. Okay, now to call this particular generic method, what we need to do is we need to write something like this. Instead of that, we need to write something here. Add integer 10 comma 10. Add double 10.10 20.20. So automatically this integer is going to replace with this t, and this t will be replaced here and here. Then those two will become the integer values. If I pass the double, then these two become the double values. So
Double
this is how we can declare one method which can accept any data type values. Which can accept any data type values. So previously, so let me repeat the concept here. So our intention is to get the summation of a two numbers, to get the
okay.
addition of a two numbers, to get the addition of a two numbers. So first we try that to create the two methods like this. So first we tried that to create the two methods. So how we tried? We create the one add method which will take a two integer value, and when someone call those number, then it will work like this. This is fine. And again for calculating the summation of a double method, double values, we are using like this. Okay. So this is how we can work it. And after that, what we are doing is, I thought like, I thought we can simplify the process here. Okay, and we create the one more method. Instead of writing the two methods, we create only one method here with the type of object here. Okay, where it can take any type of values, 10 to like integer value, double value, float value, short value, that any data type values also it will take. Okay, so we create the one more method like this. But the problem with this creation of a method with this particular object type is we are giving the one more but we are giving the burden to the compiler to convert that particular data types into the object data type. Okay, that boxing and unboxing need to happen here. So to avoid that process, and still I want to achieve the this particular summation of a two members with one method. In C# we have one more concept which is called as Gendrich method. Okay, how we can create a Gendrich method is this whatever the method name we want to declare, we can declare it, and after this less than symbol and the t, that variable name whatever we want to give, we can give it. There is no restriction here, we can only give the t. Whatever the value we want to give, that we can give. But whatever the value we give here, that only we need to represent here and here for the parameters. Okay.
Okay, for a double also we need to declare one more time like public static a double
No,
add
no,
of double.
no. That's why we are calling it as an generic method. The name itself is generic. Generic
Mm-hmm.
in the sense common, right?
Common. Okay, one.
Common method for any data type. We are creating one method which can be work for any data types.
Okay, so we don't need to replace the T with any data type.
Here we are representing the T data type. That
Okay,
T we are representing from here. Whenever
okay,
you are calling that method, if you mention it as an integer, that became integer method. If you
yeah,
pass this as a double, that method will become the double method.
okay,
Okay, so basically we start with the writing of a addition of a two members with the two methods, two individual methods. We created one individual method add, which taking the two integer method, and add which taking the two double parameters. For that also it is working fine, and the output will automatically come. There is no issue here. But the problem with this code here is I don't know, like in future I need to create the one more method with the float values addition. Okay, I don't know in future I may need to create the to addition of a short data type values. So in future, if I get that one, instead of creating the repeated code with this short data types or flow data types or some other data types, I want to go with the single method which need to address any data type. Okay, I want to go with the single method which need to address any data types. Then what we need to do? So we have one option, okay, which is called declaring an object data type. But the problem with this object data type value method creation is, so we are giving the extra burden to the compiler. So to convert that particular object into the relevant data type, okay, which is the overhead for the compiler. So we are not okay with that approach as well. Then we have one more method, one more concept in C#.NET, which is called as Genric method. Okay, while declaring that particular generic method, what we need to do is along with this particular add method, you need to use the less than symbol and the particular value, I mean it's a particular key, whether it is a T or M, whatever you want, we can give it. Okay, so that type we need to give here, and same type name we need to give it here. While calling this, if you pass the integer, then this method will become the integer method. If you pass this type as a double, then this become the double method. And if you pass this as a float, this become the float. And if you pass this as a short, and this become the short, right? So that's how we can use the only one method for all our operations, which is good, right? Instead of writing many methods. Okay,
yes,
so so that is called as a generic method. So generic method will help us to achieve the to create or return the common functionality for any data type values. It will create the common functionality for any data type values. Instead of creating the different method to achieve the addition of a two members for two different data types, we can create only one method which can be useful for any data types.
yeah.
So that is the concept of a generic method. Okay, so let me so let's try with one example so that you guys will understand. Let's remove everything. Okay, so what we can do is yeah, again we can create one method which will perform the square of a particular number. So if I give the integer number, that it need to be provide the square of a particular method, and if I pass the flow type, then also it need to work, and it need to give the square of a method, square of a particular given value. So first try to do this with the method overloading concept, which is called as method 1. Method 1, how we can do it? So I want to create the square function. I want to create a method which is a square that need to work for the integer data type as well as a double data type. So how we can create a square method here with the
Class
method
name,
over
method
Public
name,
static int
public static int, okay, square, right? Our method name is
yeah,
square,
square.
square, and which will accept integer variable.
Yeah,
So
variable.
integer variable, okay, and here as it is returning the values, return turn a
Return some a into a.
into a, which will become the square of a method. But I want to do the I want to create the same square method with which will take the float data type. So how we can create float data type value we want to take? Here we are taking the integer data type, okay, and we want to take the float data type value. Then
You can
how
give
we can
number.
create?
Float.
So same method we can copy as it is. Instead of
Yeah,
here int, we can
float.
float, and
You give the
instead of
number.
yes, integer float. Okay, that will automatically work, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now how we can call those methods, as those are the static methods, we can directly call it square. Sorry, we need to create the object. Those are static methods only, right? And inside the
program,
program.
program new,
No, we no need to create the object. Program dot square.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you pass two methods, we can able to see. One is the float, and second one is integer. So
Yeah.
if I pass the integer, which is 2, then what automatically our integer method will call. This method will call.
You can
Okay.
pass both at a time.
No, no,
Integer and float.
no, at a time is not possible. So if we want to pass, then again you need to pass like this, 2.2 or
Yeah.
something like this,
Yeah.
2.2. Okay, then what will happen? Our float data type will work here. So you need to give f to represent that is a float. Okay, so it will not directly take if you give the 2.2. So you need to represent this as a f which represent the float type of data type. So like this we can able to create. So this is the method one. Okay, but in future, if I want to create the, if I want to get the square of a method to another data type, because means it might be the short data type, or it might be the long data type, or it might be the decimal data type. Then what I need to do is that many methods I need to write. Okay, for double I need to write one method. For short I need to write one method. For such kind of data type I need to create another methods like this. Instead of doing that, method 2, what we can do, you can use the object data type. Okay, so in method 2, what we can do is we can simply call this, we can simply copy and paste it here. Instead of integer, let's make it as
object,
object, direct one. Okay, now it will take any type of value. Even if you comment these two, it will work. Instead of writing two parameters, okay, now it will work automatically. What we need to do is extra work. What we need to do is decimal or something data type we need to return here. Sorry, integer or okay, like this we need to mention here, which is the overhead for the compiler. So we can ignore this method as well. So now what we have, the other method, method 3, method
Generic method.
method 3, which is a generic method. Method 3, which is generic method. Okay. How you can declare a generic method? Same data, same you can use it, or same we can use it. Instead of writing the integer here, what we can do is we are defining it as a t. Okay. Now this t will be replaced here. Okay. You no need to write this one here.
Yeah.
Integer and integer, we can avoid it. Okay. Integer and integer. So type of t cannot applied. What is this? Okay, again we need to do this. Okay. Integer t. Okay, return integer t. Okay. So here we are returning, but there we are not returning anything. So what we can do is we can mark it as void, or we can still, if we want to manage to the return type as t, what we need to do is we can convert this value into the type of return integer. Okay, so return convert of dot int 32 type a star. What is this? Cannot applied star. Operator can be applied to operand t, type t. Operand. What is this? Cannot operand. Here, oh sorry.
We need to add the
Here, here also we need to mention this as integer. Then remove these two. Now what happened? Which is square t comma a. Okay, which is to write dynamic So this is a special data type. I will explain in next session. So dynamic is one data type what we have in C#. I will explain it in today's session itself, like next topic that only. So I will explain that. So here what we are doing is that whatever the t we are getting, which is the integer, that integer will gonna be replaced here. That a into a will automatically apply and it will return the query of a particular method. So instead of writing the two different methods and or instead of writing the object keyword, we can simply achieve by using this generic methods. So generic method will help us to work with the any data type values. So that is the purpose of a generic method. So that is the purpose of a generic method here. So let's see with another topic. So now we have another concept which is called as Gendrich classes. Okay, so let's see how Gendrich classes will work. Now we have seen a Gendrich method. Let's see the concept of Gendrich classes. Okay, so we are declaring a class with the type of T. So where this can be work any data type values. Any data type values it can work. Basically how we can declare a class and class name. But we are giving the data type here. We are giving the data type. So how it will work? Particular add object, this T will be replaced here. And for this subtraction, this T will be replaced. And for this multiplication, this T will be replaced here. If I declare one class object of the particular particular type of integer, thus all methods will work for the integer. If I declare an object for my class with the type of float, all object will work for the float data type. Instead of creating the individual data type for a class, for a method, we can create the class of a type of a particular data type. So which is called as a generic class. Okay, so we have seen one example in the class which is called as a list. So while working with the list or dictionary or stack or queue in terms of generic collections, we have seen two types of collection: normal collection and generic collection. So while declaring that particular list here, how we declare list of integer means this list is a class, right? And we are passing the type of integer. Then that all methods will work for the integer. So how they declare this kind of class? Similarly this. Okay. So similarly they declare one class with the name list. Similarly our class name is my class, which is accepting integer value, which is accepting any data type values. Okay, similarly they have create one class with the name list. Here if you pass the value as an integer, that methods available in the list will work for the integer methods. Okay, if I declare my list with the float type, all methods of that particular list will work for the float data type. Float data type here.
Okay.
Okay. Similarly, they use the same concept while working with the list or dictionary or generic stack or generic particular queue or sorted list. For all of them, they use the concept of generic class only. Okay, so that's why while working with this list, a list of integer, if I create the what I can say is lst1 lst equal to new list here. Now if I want to add the lst dot add method, what it will take? Only integer values only it will take. How they declare? Similarly like this. They declare one class with this name list and they are passing any data type value. Same we are doing here. We are creating one class with the my class name and we are passing one value type here, data type. So if I declare that with the integer, my add method will take all integer values. If I declare, if I pass the double for my generic class, this add method will take double values, right? So that's how it works for our C# programming. Instead of creating the each and every generic method individually by passing a value, by passing a data type, you can create the all the generic method with one generic class, so that all methods will work for that particular data type. Okay, so this is how we can work with the generic classes. So did you understand, Muzaffar or Raj?
Now, then by for in generic class we are
So
well, it's a little bit confusing.
yeah, let me repeat again. So we work with the list, right?
Yes,
So for the list, how we can declare? So list, okay, particular data type, new list,
yes,
particular data type. Now this
yes.
list, if I declare a list of integer, will my list take the double values or string values or character values?
No, no, no. It can accept only one key value.
So one particular integer value only it will accept. Okay.
Yes.
If that is the case, so how they are handling this kind of operation in C# is they are declaring one generic class with the name list, and they declare all the methods like this: add, or remove, or particular insert, or a particular clean. That all methods they declare like this. Okay, so we are also doing the same. We declare one class with the type of with any data type. Okay, and if I pass, while declaring that class, if I pass this integer, all my method will work for the integer data type. All my method in that particular class will work for integer data type. So if I declare my class, while declaring my class, if I use this double, all my methods inside that particular class will work for the double data type.
Okay.
Okay. So they already did for us with an example of generic classes. If I want to go with the our own generic class, how we can define is like this. While declaring the class, you need to give the this type. Okay, and all method will follow the same type. All method will follow the same type.
If we declare type, then type means we can declare our own class. If we don't declare type,
So no, it's not like that. So if I declare a class with the type, means all the methods, see, we are representing this t in each and every method of that particular class. Okay, so if I declare the my class with this particular integer, all my method will take only integer values.
oh, okay.
Okay, if I declare my class of double, all my methods in that particular class will take only double, because I am
But
mentioning the type here.
but here, how can we think the type is integer or double by the numbers or by the parameters you
No,
passed?
no, here while declaring the class, while
There you,
here
yeah,
we are
there you
mentioning.
declared.
Yeah,
Yeah, but in generic class, in at the town, we did not declare anywhere that in data type, right? Whether it's int or double, we don't declare anywhere.
yeah, that's what
How
I'm
can we?
saying. How that's what
How
I'm
can
saying. Yeah, just wait a
one?
second, Raj. Just wait a second. See here, we already declared one generic class with the type T. Okay.
Yeah.
While calling that for this particular add method, what I'm doing, my class, I'm defining int. This int will be replaced here. This int, while declaring this class, right, while calling this particular method, add method, we are passing the type as T.
One second. One second. No, one more doubt. Okay, if we pass rather than t, then how can we take double then?
If you pass the double.
Then how can we take double? When you're saying we passed my class name as a type, so
Mhm.
it declares as a int. If I want to pass as a double, now what class type we should give?
Like this, you need to write your code.
Okay.
Here,
Here it all.
here, whatever the data type you are defining, that will be replaced here.
No, now we declare two data types. One is int and one is double.
Yes. So while calling this method, this class will work as a integer. While calling
Okay.
this method, this class will work for double.
Okay. Then means we should call individually methods, not.
Yes, yes. Not individually method. See, if I call here, let's forget about this one, double.
Okay. Mm.
We have how many methods we
Okay.
have? Add
Okay.
method we
Now.
have, subtract
Yeah.
method
Yeah.
here, and multiplication method. Now
Now
if
it
I
will consider. Now it will consider as int method only. Now.
now these are all add method, subtract method, multiplication method will all work for the integer methods
Int.
only.
Okay. Now you add double. If you add double,
Mhm.
now there are two methods. Int method is a double method is there.
Yes.
How can it decide whether we should take int method or double method? Is there
You
anything
you
specific?
you mentioned it data type here, right?
Okay, okay, fine. Okay, we should mention only once the one data type
Yeah, one data
at a
type
time.
only we can mention it. That's what we are calling it as general. Here, if you mention it as a double, it will work for a double method only.
I'm thinking that okay, we can pass two methods at a time, but I don't know how it will
No,
decide
no,
which
it's
method we
not
should
like
pass.
this. Based on
Yeah.
this data type only, so it will decide what type of parameter it will take.
Okay.
Here only we need to define. See, similarly, see, best example to understand the concept of a generic class is a list. So for list, what we are declaring integer. Okay. So if it is a integer list, it will take only integer parameter. So is it allow me to accept the string value?
No.
No. Because while declaring my generic class, I define the type of integer. Then all methods in my list class will become the int only, right?
Yep.
So that's how we can work it. We can work with
Madan
the
bhai,
generic.
can we see this output once, Madan bhai, for this whole one?
Yes, let me comment this one.
So if once we get output, I think everything will be clear for Vajpayee.
Yes, yes. Sir. So if you see here, let's remove this one as well. Yeah, here we have this example. So first what we did, we let's remove this one. I will give the one more way to easily explain. My class, okay, integer obj equal to new my class integer, right?
Yep.
Let's remove this static also for our better understanding. Let's remove this static also. Now what we can do? Object, sorry, object, object of object dot. We are able to see add method. We are able to see multiplication method. We are able to see subtraction method. Let's call this add method. So now what data types it is accepting here?
Intake on,
Yeah. So why it is accepting int here?
because we declare at the top as int only.
Yes. So that's the
Key
reason.
value.
Yeah, that's the reason it is accepting the integer value here. So here integer 10 comma 10. Okay. Now what method will call? This add method of a integer type of a class will call here. Now this will become the integer. This object while we are declaring this object, we declare that class as an integer. Okay. Now whenever you call this object, with this object if you call any methods of that particular class, all methods will become the integer methods. Okay. So similarly, if I see here, what I can do is, I am creating the double here, double data type, and this object name is object double, double, and here I am declaring it as a double. Okay. Now if I try to access my add method, what data type it is accepting? Sorry, it's a object
obj
double.
double.
Object double. Okay. Now what data type will it accept? Double. Right? You can able to see double here, and it will like
Yep.
10, comma 20.20. So this is how it will work. Any questions? Similarly, we same example we have seen already with the list. Same example we have seen
Yes.
already with the list, but here we have write our own class.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the thing, and if you want
For
to
for generic class, we are declaring with a method T. Method T.
basically Gendrich method and Gendrich class. If I declare a method, it will work for only method.
Okay.
If I declare a Gendrich method, it will work for only one method. If I declare a
Okay.
Gendrich class, it will work for a set of methods. That's the only difference.
Yes.
Previously, we have seen one example. So that is the
Yes.
Gendrich method. It's a method. It only works for only one method. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if we declare the class with set of methods, okay. If I pass this as the integer, all methods, all my class method will become the integer methods. Okay.
Yeah.
So if I pass the double for my class, all my methods inside that particular class will become the double methods. If you go for only one method, that is specifically one method only, not for the multiple methods. If you want to apply same thing for the multiple methods, you need to go with the generic class. Okay.
Yeah.
So if I just try to execute this one, so what we got? 20. Sum is 20, which will become the this one, and sum is 30.3. So which is become the double value. So this is how we can work it. Okay, so this is the concept of generic classes. Generic method, generic class. Generic method is specifically one useful for one method, whereas generic class will useful for multiple methods. That's the only difference. Both will work any data type. Both will work for any data type. Okay, so this is the thing, and let's move with the another concept. The another very important concept in C#.NET is exception handling. The another very important concept in C#.NET is exception handling. Whatever the program we write in the C# program, all we need all that programming we need to write with the help of exception handling. So all the programming we need to write with the help of exception handling. Let's see what is the exception. Let's see what is the exception here. So let's see what is the exception. So we know there are types of errors in our C# program. For example, if we see here, if I remove the semicolon, it is giving an error. Okay. See, it's saying that it's saying that if I mouse over here, it's saying that semicolon is expected. Okay. If that is the case, these kind of errors are called as compile time errors. These type of errors are called as compile time errors. Means If you compile or build that one, then you can get the value. Then you can get the value. And where is Ross?
I'm here.
Yeah, okay. So I'm getting some kind of background from Muzaffar, so I just muted him. So Muzaffar, once your roommate done with the conversation, just let me know, and I will mark you unmute again. So basically, there are two types of errors are available in our C#. One is compile time error, means while writing the program itself, if you done any kind of mistake, that Visual Studio will explain you what are the mistakes you are doing. That kind of mistakes we can say compile time errors. Means while writing the program itself, we can able to understand those errors, or we can get to know there is a error in our program. Okay, that type of errors we can call it as compile time errors. But if you see here, sometimes what will happen is our program will don't have any kind of compile time errors, but when I execute that program, we will get errors. When I execute that program, we will get errors. That kind of errors we are calling it as runtime errors or exceptions. Runtime errors or exceptions. That type of errors we can call it as a runtime errors or exceptions. Let me repeat again. There are two types of errors in any kind of programming language. There are two types of errors. Similarly, in our C# also, we can have two types of errors. One is one we can call it as compile time error. That means whenever we are writing any program, if you do any kind of syntactical mistakes or something wrong in our program, compiler will tell you what are those errors before executing the program itself. So until you clear your compile errors, it will not execute your program. Okay, let me try to execute with the compile time error. So will it execute here? No, previously we didn't see any kind of error before, but we are able to see this one because we missed the semicolon for this example. Okay, now other type of error what we have in C# is runtime error. So the program will for the compilation purpose means the syntactically the program will be correct, but runtime whenever the program will get executed, it will give some errors here. So those type of errors are called as runtime errors or exceptions. To handle those runtime errors, we have a concept called as exception handling. To handle those type of runtime exception, we have a concept in C# which is called as exception handling. That concept name itself, it's a straightforward. Exception handling. Exception is nothing but a runtime error. To handle the runtime errors, we have one concept which is called as exception handling. Right? So that concept we can call it as exception handling. Muzaffar, are you done?
Yes, Madan.
So here what you can do is so basically, as I explained it, two types of errors, compile time errors or runtime error. To handle the runtime errors, we have one concept in C# which is called as exception handling. So let's
Exceptional.
see let's see how we can work with the exception handling. This is very important concept. Even you write any piece of code, you need to write your code with the exception handling mechanism. Then only that code will become the will follow the standards. Even if you write a simple one method, you should write with the help of exception handling. Okay, means you don't know how it behave while running the program. You feel that your method will straightforward and it work for every time, but sometimes if user pass some wide values, your method will get fail and it will throw some kind of exception. Okay, instead of directly display that exception to the end user, we need to handle that error and we need to provide some kind of meaningful error to the end user. Let's see one example so that we can easily understand the concept here. Exception handling. So let's first see the exception handling. So let's first see with an example. I have an integer value a which is 10, and I have an integer value b which is 5, and now what I'm going to do is integer c equal to a divided by b. Okay, so a divided by b. So we are dividing 10 by 5, which will become the 2. Okay, that 2 will be stored into the c value, and we are going to print the value here. Console.writeLine. Console.writeLine. The division of a by a and b is this one 0 c value. Okay, and I'm going to execute my program. The division of a and b is 2. We were able to execute it, right? So let's instead of doing this one, let's try to get the input from the end user. Console.writeLine, sorry, no, console.readLine, console.readLine. Okay, let's enter here console.writeLine, enter a value. Okay, and whatever the a value they enter, we are reading that. Okay, and we are converting that into the integer. Convert dot int 32. Okay, so that value we are seeing, and same we are asking for end user to enter the b value. Enter b value. So here also we are doing the same for b value, right? So now we can able to accept the a value and b value, and we can able to achieve the division of two numbers here. So are you will you able to see any kind of compilation errors here? So are we able to see any kind of compilation error here? Compilation error. We don't have any compilation error. It's straightforward. And even if I compile or build this program, so we got that build succeeded. Okay, so how many lines of code we have written? Only 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 7 lines or 8 lines of code we have written here. Okay, let's try to execute our program. So it's asking that enter a value. So I am entering that a value is 10. Okay, it's asking enter b value 5, and it's printing the output as a division of a and b is 2. Okay, which is fine. So it's working fine. For our program is working fine here. So let's try to run the program again. Here what I'm going to do is enter the a value. Here I'm giving it as a value is 10 and b value is 0. Instead of 5, I'm giving it as 0. So now I press the enter button. So we thought that it's our program working fine for any input numbers, right? We thought that our program will work for any kind of input values, but I just changed my input value to the from the 5 to 0, b value from the 5 to 0. So which result the attempted to divide by 0, means mathematically there is a rule we can't divide any number by the 0. Did we handle that exception here anywhere with our code? We got the runtime exception. It's saying that that runtime exception, what it is saying. So that runtime exception saying that divided by 0 error, it's occurred divide by 0 exception. Okay, but we are not handle that exception. To handle that exception, we have a concept which is called as exception handling mechanism. Exception handling. So to handle the runtime exception, we have a mechanism which is called as exception handling. So here we haven't handled any exception. So as a result, our program stopped working. So I don't want to my program stop for a working. It should reflect, it should give the hint to the end user saying that don't provide the 0 value for your dividend. Like that we need to provide one kind of hint to the particular end user, so that next time you will not enter the 0 for the b value, right? That kind of exceptions, that kind of handling we haven't do here. So that we need to apply. So how we can work with the exception handling is, in exception handling we need to remember 3 or 4 keywords. One is try, another one is catch, and another one is finally, and another one is throw. Okay, so throw is fine, like we can use rarely, but try, catch, finally is mandatory. Try, catch, finally is mandatory. So how this try and catch finally will work here is, so the structure, basically the exception handling structure will become like this. Try, this is the structure of a particular exception handling, where we have a try blank, where we have a catch blank, and where we have a finally blank. Where we have a finally blank, or simply finally. Control K, Control. This is the structure of a exception handling. Here we will start. There is a try blank, there is a catch blank, there is a finally blank. So what is the purpose of a try blank, and what is the purpose of a catch blank, and what is the purpose of a finally blank? Let's see one by one. So here we have written one piece of code here, and there is a chance of getting the error in this line of code. So wherever whatever the code you are trying to execute, So what the code we are trying to execute? This piece of code we are trying to execute. Whatever the code you are trying to execute, put that into our try black.
Okay.
Put the whatever the code you want to execute, put that code inside the try black. Try open braces and the closing braces. In between, whatever the operation we want to perform, put that entire code in the try block itself. Okay. Then what will happen is, if something error happen here, what it will do is this try block will send that exception to our catch block. If there is an error here, immediately our catch block will get execute. If there is an error here in catch block, that immediately our catch block will get execute. So now here you can write your own kind of message saying that instead of stopping that program, you can write your own kind of message here saying that please don't enter or do not enter 0 for b value, right?
Yep.
We can write our own kind of message to the end user. Okay, and if something even though the program will successfully execute, or even though there is an error with your particular lines of code, finally block will always get execute. It's irrespective of true or false. This finally
Okay.
block will always execute. Why there is a finally block in try catch mechanism here is, so if there is a chance of working with the a particular object, if you remember, if you want, even though if there is an error or if there is no error, you want to close those objects. Assume that I have declared one class here, class object. So if there is a success, automatically the success this will execute successfully. It will return the output. It will execute successfully and it will return the output. But whatever the object we have created, that will not close here. So if I want to close my object, irrespective of success or failure of your code, then you need to write your code into the finally block. The finally block will always get execute even there is an error or even there is no error. Even there is an error, the finally block will get execute, or even there is no error, your finally block will get execute. But catch block will execute only there is an error. Okay, so this is how we can work with. So let's try to execute our program and close this line of code. Enter a value. I'm giving it as 10. Enter b value. I'm giving it as 0 here. It's saying that did it give any kind of error to the end user?
Yeah.
Previously our
No.
application got stuck, right?
Yes.
Previously our application doesn't work, it got stuck, So because we haven't handled our exception. Now we handled our exception and we provide the meaningful message to the end user saying that please do not enter 0 for b value. Next time you will not
Okay.
enter, right? Okay, so that kind
Yes.
of handling the errors in our program is called as exception handling. That kind of handling the errors in our C# program is called as exception handling.
Try block will always run when there is a error, and
No, no,
exception will.
no, no.
No. Catch will.
Yes, catch block will always execute when there is an error. Catch
Okay.
block,
Catch block also.
yes. Try block, whatever the code we want to try. Whatever the piece of
Okay.
code
You
we
can
want
put the
to
block.
whatever the piece of code we want to execute, that all code we can put in the try block. Okay, if there is any error in our try block code, automatically our catch block will get executed. Okay,
Yes.
even there is a no error or even there is an error, our finally block will always execute. That means in finally block, if want to close any kind of database objects or class objects, we can close it here because it will get execute every time. Okay, so
Okay.
that's the purpose of try, catch, and finally block. Okay, I told you like we have the one more word which is called a throw. That means that throw will throw the exception to the end user. That's it.
Okay.
Similarly, instead of writing this kind of method, so in throw itself we can write this kind of code. It will throw that kind of exception. So that's it.
For like telling
Same.
in our language, try block can be used to test the code.
Uh, Not to test the code. No, no, it's not the kind of test the code. Basically, why this exception handling uh, placed in our programming is so we don't know uh, how user input the values. Okay,
Okay. Yeah.
in this case, A by B we are tried. So I don't know
Yes.
like whether the all users will be straightforward users, so they will give the right values. Even
Yes.
though if one of the user came to our application and if he tried with the like wrong inputs, in that scenario also our application need to work without giving any error. Okay,
Yes.
so so in such a case we need to write our block of code in try block, and whatever the error we are anticipating, that error we can put in our catch block with the meaningful message. Okay, so if it is not the case, what we can do is we can place the whatever the error we can have. For example, exception, for this exception class, we can create one object exception dot, sorry, exception dot message. Okay, exception dot message. Sorry, exception dot message dot toString or let it be. So then try to execute. A is 10, B is 0. So it's giving an error attempted to divided by 0. People may or may not understand attempted to divided by 0, like all people straightforward understand, but if you give meaningful message saying that please don't enter b value as a 0, that is very
This
meaningful,
message
right?
this message came automatically from the this
Exception, this exception.
exception. Okay.
This
Okay.
exception, this
This
exception dot message.
okay.
What is the exception and that message?
Okay. Okay. Okay, Madan bhai. I got it, Madan bhai.
So this is how this try, catch, and finally
Catch
black will
final.
work. But there is one concept here. So to handle the, here what we said, exception EX. This exception is the super class for all the exceptions. This exception is the super class for, this exception is the super class for all the exception here. This exception is the super class for all the exceptions. Means now, currently we got the divided by 0 exception. Let's try with another example. Here I am entering the value of integer as will integer take this kind of number? Integer
No. No.
value will take this kind of number? No, right? Let's
Hmm.
try to, value was either too large or too small, right? What error we got?
Value was too large or too small.
Yeah, so that means so this is the this exception is the general exception which will catch any kind of exception. There are several types of exceptions are there. So let's go with go to definition, exception based class. Okay, so there are several types of exception. We have seen two exception. One is divided by zero we have seen, or value large exception, or out of range exception we have seen. Okay, something like data type mismatch exception, or something like file not found exception. That all kind of exceptions we have. So if you want to handle the all the kind of exception, we can simply take exception class, which will which will catch the any kind of exceptions. Okay, which will catch the any kind of exception. But for our purpose, you want to write different exception classes for different messages. So like let's see how we can work it here. So if we see here, so same kind of example. Okay, so first catch, instead of directly using this exception, what we are doing, we are using another exception class which is called as divided by zero exception. This class will only catch divided by zero exceptions only. This class will only catch the divided by zero exception only.
Okay.
This exception, format exception, will only take only format exceptions. Okay, means for example, if user trying to if we ask the end user to enter the a value and b value, instead of giving 10 comma 20, if you give the 10.10 or 20.20, which is not the correct format which we are expecting. So that's the float numbers. We are expecting integer numbers. Okay, if that is the case, if this format exception will only catch the format exceptions. This overflow exception will only take the overflow exceptions only. Okay, and some other errors which we are not sure from user perspective, all errors will catch by the exception. Okay, so my intention is if someone try to divide it by 0, I want to put this one message. If someone trying to work with our program with the different format, I want to put this error. If someone trying to enter the large number with our program, I want to put this message under the overflow exception. Some other errors which I am not sure or we are not sure what end user can play with our program, then what we can do is we can work with the exception. So how this will work is based on the error here, if it is a divided by 0, automatically our divided by 0 catch block will get executed. If it is a run format exception, this one will get executed. If it is a overflow, this one will get executed. If it is not the overflow, not the format exception, or not the divided by 0 exception, our generic exception will get executed. There we are mentioning that something went wrong, please contact admin, something like we can provide the message to the end user. Okay, so this is called as a multiple catch mechanism in our program. Multiple catches in our exception handling. So we can write the multiple catches, but respective exception will work for the respective catch. So if it is a divided by 0 exception, only this one will call. It will not call this one. If it is a format exception, only this one is called. It will not call this one. If it is a overflow, this one will call. It will not call this one. If it is none of the above, then it will call this one. Did you understand, Muzaffar or Raj?
Yes, Madan bhai, the list of
Yeah,
errors.
yeah. Basically, there are different types of errors available in C Sharp. For each error, there is a separate classes. So if you
Okay.
know, if you are anticipating, like as we are performing this A by B, so we can anticipate there will be a divided by 0 exception. So that message we can write, and we can accept there will be a format exception. We can accept. So there will be a overflow exception. We can handle it, and we don't know like other exception what we want to catch here. For all other exception, we can use the generic exception class. Okay.
So this format exception, overflow exception, these are classes, Madan bhai?
Yeah, all are classes. Even exception also class
These are
only.
super classes.
This is a super class for all these classes. Divided by 0, format exception, overflow exception. For all this exception is a super class.
Like for in when in developing in real time,
Yes.
like developing a real time application, how a developer will write all these things like
Yes, yes, yes.
Canada errors.
Even if you write the particular, even developer write the 2 lines of code that must be right in the try black, and they at least you need to have at least one generic catch black, and finally black. Generic,
Okay.
even at least we need to write one generic catch black.
Okay.
Okay, so then only it will work for you.
Okay.
Okay. So this is how we can work with the exception handling in our C# program. So basically, this is a very simple concept, but a very useful concept in our all programming. Okay, so
Yes.
there are two types of errors: compile time errors, runtime errors. Compile time errors, we can't do anything. It before running itself, it will scold you directly in front of your face. So saying that so there is something wrong with your program. But runtime exception will not like that. So until we execute that one, we can't get the error. Okay, so those
Okay.
type of exceptions in order to handle, we are having one concept which is called as exception handling. Okay, so we have try, catch, and finally and throw will useful to return this kind of messages. So this is all for today's session, Muzaffar and